Dear Giovanni Tartaglia Polcini, allow me to welcome you to your first interview as SIGA Council Chair. For those who don't know Giovanni Tartaglia Polcini, the new SIGA Council Chair is an Italian magistrate who dedicated his life to the fight against corruption. He is a legal advisor for the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Giovanni is also an anti-corruption delegate to the OECD Working Group on Bribery since 2015 and an expert and delegate for the United Nations Anti-Corruption Convention since 2016. Elected in February by the Council members, he saw the General Assembly ratify the decision in March. Giovanni Tartaglia Polcini succeeds our most esteemed honorary chair and his friend Franco Frattini, who passed away in December 2022. Dear Giovanni, on behalf of SIGA members and partners, it is a pleasure to host you as we are here today to know you a bit better and to listen to your first ideas on SIGA and sport integrity. So, first things first, why did you accept to be the chair of the SIGA Council, and how important is Franco Frattini's legacy as former chair?
Mr. Perestrello, thanks very much for your question and also the opportunity to share my first view with all the membership about my decision to accept this great honor and great privilege. Sport is a source of inspiration and shared values, a factor of progress of human fulfillment that moves billions and billions of people around the world. And sport is at the same time a fundamental driver for both economic growth, social inclusion, supporting the sustainable development. And this is the constitutional reason of my decision, because I think that the sport has to be posed at the core of the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. And I try with my life to be an actor in this great challenge. In addition, I consider sport also a multi-billion-dollar industry with intricate ties to public and private interests at the same time, one of the most important risk area for corruption. And if I may, I go to answer also to the second question. This is exactly the reason of my decision to accept, because of the fact that my friend and also magister Franco Frattini said a lot of time, and also being a witness of this, that we have to protect sport, the clean sport, in front and against of the challenge of organized crime and corruption. Today, we see an increasing relevance of corruption in sport. And his insight is for me a legacy. And this is, in a few words, the real reason of my decision to be with you in this great mission.
There's no doubt Franco's legacy is inspiring and will be always with SIGA. Dear Giovanni, what do you see SIGA achieving during this term, which ends in 2025?
Okay, we have clear ideas on this. One of the most important challenges we have in front of us is to grow, and also to have a great chance to enlarge the use of SIGA solutions to prevent sport against corruption. And in particular, we can also move ahead in enhancing the awareness on the relevance of a sport transparency index. And one of concrete possibility I see for the near future is to open a delegation of SIGA also in Asia And finally, but not for relevance, one of the most important challenges is to share the level of practice influence of our service as tools to prevent at organizational level corruption for the sport organization all over the world.
Giovanni, you are a specialist in anti-corruption, and you were one of the responsibles while chairing a B20 Italy committee to include sport as a priority in that field. What are the major threats you see that are facing sport in the area of corruption and bribery?
Thank you for this interesting question that allows me to recap very briefly what is happening at the level of a global agenda on sport, in particular with some messages. I was the chair of G20 Anti-Corruption Working Group in 2021, but I'm co-chairing today the G20 again under the Indian presidency. And in past, I promoted the adoption of 2 resolutions on corruption in sport during the meeting of the Conference of the State Parties of the UNCAC, the United Nations Convention Against Sport. And again, in 2021, we adopted the set of high-level principles on corruption in sport. All these documents show us what are the level of challenges today. And these I see as probably the most important topic on what the SIGA activities could contribute with the vision of a global alliance on integrity, transparency, and accountability in sport, with the agenda of government, with the agenda of multilateralism from a public sector perspective. And I have in front of mine 2 sets of topics. The first one is attention to the organized crime threat. Corruption is changed. Today, corruption is liquid, is one of the most important door for the infiltration of the organized crime in the public administration on one hand and in a legal economy on the other hand. And sport is one of the most exposed area on this sense. I remember perfectly the Franco Frattini legacy on this. He said for first ever that the new challenge is not only corruption as traditionally considered, but also organized crime. On the other hand, big attention from us to the amatorial sport, not only the professional one, because we have also the call of duty to protect the dreams of youth and the new generation for a new era of enforcement. In this exact time, we are leaving a new challenge to the amatorial sport too, because organized crime through corruption is trying to infiltrate the amatorial sport to have control of territories and social consensus, exactly as happened in the past through money laundering, infiltrating legal economy for the professional one. And this is my answer there, Nuno.
And we need to be strong. Giovanni, female leadership is still an issue, and we need to promote gender equity. What do you think the industry can do to really promote these values?
Okay, this is one of the most important challenges we have in front of us. We have experimented the need to be exactly on the same page with the growing attention of multilateralism on the gender balance challenge. And I can answer also considering and mentioning that SIGA is in his council 4 men and 6 women. So we can answer with fact. And on the other hand, considering that when we see the same reference to percentage in the governmental high-level official positions, we have different statistics and divergent level of recognition of this gender equality. And I see this as one of the most important challenges, I said before, but also one of the possible level of development of the SIGA mentorship program on this. One example I can do is the more recent female global meeting organized by SIGA, is an example of attention, not only raising awareness, but also call to action. The women and the gender balance challenge is today one of our priority. And I commit myself, and with the great contribution of our CEO, Emmanuel Macedo de Medeiros, and all the SIGA Council, to do our best to ensure new level and also a new era of enforcement on this topic too.
And it's fair to mention Katie Simmons, global COO,
of course,
and director of managing director of the SIGA Women Program. For her amazing work in this area. And you mentioned the SIGA Council, and it's important to explain and to remember that SIGA changed its constitution to have 50% women in internal bodies represented in 50% in its internal bodies, and that's really important.
And the value of Katie is one of the example of our ideas, because he is one of the cornerstone of SIGA, and I totally agree with you.
She is. How important are the SIGA universal standards on sport integrity?
It's really, really important. We have to support the sports organization to enhance governance, transparency, and accountability, and ensure the integrity of major sports events, including associated procurement and all those around the sport sector are the most important events and business activities. And this is the exact sense of our models and standards. My idea on this is to enhance good governance, to fight the illegal betting, promoting sports betting integrity, to promote financial transparency, and also to push on the agenda of youth development and protection in sport. So our universal standards are exactly a great chance and an unbelievable instruments. And in the time of the renovation of the measurement parameters of corruption and non-corruption in sport, these standards are essential tools to promote, to enhance, and to spread all around the world.
We agree that adopting universal standards is key, and accountability is obviously the next step. Why should sport organizations go through SIGA independent rating and verification system, which we call SERVs, and is often mentioned to be the silver bullet to sport integrity?
Yes, thank you, Nuno. To be concrete, we have to demonstrate also from the private sector and from the organizational level of sport that we are ready for a new era of enforcement, not only in word, but also through action. And these standards are one of the most important recognized tools to organize on a better way, and also to check the level of growth, of development, of the compliance inside sport organization. we have to demonstrate that sporting is effectively clean and not only at the liturgic level. And the only way we have is to understand the data. And the data and the standards we have to measure through standards at organizational level recognized universally. And the SIGA standards on these are one of the most important instruments I have met in my experience. And I am a researcher also on the compliance at global level to prevent corruption, but also other serious crimes. And I can say without any doubt that from the private sector experience, sometimes also from the governmental side, we have to learn a lot. And this is the sense of my answer.
And it's one thing I always like to say, and I love listening to, is that SERVs will ensure that universal standards are well applied and evaluated in the same way. If we are talking about a football club in the Premier League in England, or a table tennis club in Jamaica or Peru or Canada, that is the best part about it.
Exactly. They are journey in time and in space, and also from the higher level of the sport industry to the amatorial one, because one standard is one answer for the corruption challenge and threat all around the world.
You are right. When we speak about youth, and SIGA as the SIGA Youth Council, a very active youth council, when we think about the youth and the athletes, what is their role in promoting sport integrity? And by that, I can think of the fight against racism, the fight for transparency, for anti-corruption, for youth development and protection. What are your views on this?
First of all, let's say that I have a definition for sport, looking at the corruption, looking to the youth in particular. My opinion is that sport has to be defended, and the corruption is a thief of future of the new generations. They have dreams. And one of the most important sector of their dreams is exactly sport. Sport is the key area for the human race development. And in some part of our planet, entire young generation look to the sport as the only possible way to have a human realization, and also the concrete sense of their dreams. And considering these, the youth as fans, but also the youth athletes have to be defended, have to be from our side protected to any form of corruption challenge and corruption threat. But this role is not only as target. We have to consider it as a call of duty for them, and considering them key actors and promoters and the testimonials of sport integrity. And this is, for me, one of the most important examples of the SIGA power. The opportunity that we have from the SIGA Youth Council and the SIGA Champions programs. We are speaking about actions, not only ideas. And SIGA is demonstrating that for us to be an engagement group is not only liturgy, but reality.
Walk the talk. Will sport sponsors have an active role in reforming sport? And if so, I invite you to leave a message to all sports stakeholders, fans, organizations, sponsors, media right holders.
I think that in my life, I demonstrated that the rule of law is changed. It is not only in the hand of government today The rule of law is a cornerstone between public and private for a new partnership in which private sector has to have a role, new role. And then in this role, in the sport sector in particular, we have to recognize the relevance of the sport industry. And inside the sport industry, in particular, the role of sponsor is really relevant to reforming the sport to be the key for a transparent sport, to have initiative, to promote programs, projects, and not only business in itself. In this new multi-shareholder approach, I see a lot of opportunity for sponsors too, but also in a very linked posture with authorities, with lawmakers, with policy makers, and also international governmental organization too. Nuno, to be clear, and as magistrate, as I can speak, we have to safeguard the autonomy of sport and the Olympic spirit of sport on one hand. But on the other hand, we have also the duty to ensure that autonomy is not impunity. Autonomy is a different concept in front of impunity. We have to promote any form of integrity and transparency and accountability in sport without an alibi, sometimes calling up and evocating the autonomy from some of the actors, and we have to reaffirm that autonomy versus impunity. Autonomy could be a driver, could be exactly an allied to us in integrity. And this is my message for all the sports stakeholders, fans, organizations, sponsors, media rights holders, and so on. We have the great opportunity today to make sport more clean and to demonstrate that on one hand we have the reality and on the other hand we have the representation of reality, and we can bridge divides and we can ensure an exact correspondence between reality and representation. To make sport clean, the only way is to ensure integrity. And one global organization, as the Sport Integrity Global Alliance, I consider is the key actor to ensure this. We are a no-profit organization representing all the world of the actors around the sport. We have a call of duty, we have a key role, and hopefully we can change the paradigm on this. Thank you, Mr. Perestrello, for allowing me to share my first ideas since I accepted. And I have also the opportunity again to say that to be chair of a Sport Integrity Alliance as the SIGA is the most important opportunity that my life reserved to me so far. And I will do my best to answer to this call with all my possible engagement at the personal level, my personal capacity, doing what is, in my opinion, the only way to answer to the challenge and the threat of corruption to sport, ensuring integrity as our motto and our acronym say, Integrity Alliance.
Those are indeed inspiring words and heartwarming words for everyone who is connected to SIGA. Dear Giovanni, thank you for your precious time. Thank you for your commitment to SIGA vision and mission. And on the behalf of the whole SIGA community, and I think I can speak on the behalf of the whole SIGA community, I am pleased to welcome you to this mission and to wish you success. Thank you very much.
Please allow me to say the last words and about Franco Frattini, in particular, legacy. I say that its legacy is our mandate. Its legacy is our call of duty. And looking at the past, with this insight, we can build all together best future for new generations of actors around the wonderful world of sport. See you, Mr. Perestrello.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.